Let's dive into chapter 6 and start with discrete and continuous random variables. We're going to begin by actually defining what a random variable is. A random variable assumes any of several different values as a result of some random event. So random variables are always denoted by a capital letter, that X, of particular value any that it can have. So it's kind of just it's our probability set. It's all the events that could happen. Next, a random variable that can take one of a finite number of distinct outcomes. This is called a discrete random variable. So we're going to learn about discrete and continuous. A discrete random variable would be like the possibilities on a die. So, we have 1 through 6. The probabilities are equal, but maybe it's a weighted die, or maybe this is a particular die that has 2 1s, a 2, a 3, and 2 4s. So things like that, where they'd have different weights, would be important. So discrete is where we have very specific values. Random variables that can have any numeric value, these are our second kind, are continuous random variables. Most often time, weight, things that can have any value, especially time, when it can get to very precise values that we could never list every possibility. Those are continuous random variables. And finally, a probability distribution shows the collection of all the possible values and the probabilities that they occur. So this is a lot like our probability models that we learned about in chapter 5. Now that we've got some definitions out of the way, let's go ahead and look at an example. Our first example here is going to be of a discrete random variable. We're going to start with the expected value. So an expected value is basically just the mean or the average amount we would expect for any probability model. And I'm going to apologize right here. I'm not sure if your textbook also does this, but I would add some brackets around this because you do need to multiply before you find this sum. So the translation of expected value, it's just really the average or the mean we would expect to find if we just did this event over and over and over and over again, and then we averaged the results. It's the value we should end up with. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. We've got a insurance company that's offering death and disability policies that pay different values if you die, if you're disabled, or what happens if nothing, how much will they pay out if nothing bad happens to you? So obviously they're not going to pay out anything. So we've got a probability model here. This is definitely discrete since there's only 3 different things that can occur. How much should the insurance company expect? So this is an expected value question to pay out in 1 year. We cannot say what will happen, but we can say what we expect to happen. Find and interpret the expected value. So interpret, a lot of you forget to do that part. So don't forget the interpret, the expected value for the insurance agency. This is how you would set up this equation on the AP exam. So let me point out a couple things. First off, you are free to change these fractions to decimals if you prefer. You may go ahead and do that, especially if you have a calculator that doesn't deal with fractions very easily. Second, notice even though this part is going to become just a 0 and it really will not affect our final answer, you must still write it down in your equation on the AP exam. So make sure you're still writing any 0 values even though they don't really affect anything. You also don't need to worry about putting this part in your calculator since it's just going to be a 0. When I put this in my calculator, I can see the answer is 20. I next need to interpret it. So on this next one, we're going to finally calculate the standard deviation of these expected values. So first, we're going to find the deviation of each payout from the mean or the expected value. From the previous part of the problem, we found our expected value was $20. We subtract that from each of our values, our payout values. Notice that for neither, we actually end up with a negative value because, of course, we've got 0 minus the 20. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to square these deviations. We're familiar with that. But we're going to find the variance, and the variance is that value right before we found the square root of the standard deviation, but we're going to do it like an expected value. So we're going to multiply that back to its probability and find the sum. So let me show you what it looks like. You can see here that not only am I squaring the values of the deviations, I'm also multiplying each by their probabilities. So that is going to give us a little bit different value than what we saw when we just did a regular standard deviation. In this case, we get 149,600. Then we're going to take the square root of that value, but let me clean that up a little bit for you. Square root of that will be 386.782. And we can sum that up by saying the insurance company can expect to pay a payout of $20 per policy with a standard deviation of $386.78, which makes sense that we have such a large standard deviation because we do have that extreme payout, 1 of every 1,000 events. So, which is unfortunate, but that's an expected answer. And finally, I'm going to sum up with the formulas we just used, and I apologize, I should have put brackets once again around that. We do need to multiply before we find the sum for the variance, and then of course standard deviation is just the square root of that variance.